This is just the beginning. To uncover more of humanity's journey in the stars, subscribe and join us for the next thrilling chapter. Before a cliffhanger, right at a pivotal moment in the story, you can tease the next episode with a hint for viewers to subscribe. The council chamber hummed with low voices as representatives from every corner of the galaxy discussed mundane matters. Glowing auras, leathery scales, and intricate symbols adorned each council member, displaying the diversity and power amassed here. Humanity's diplomat entered quietly, head held high, barely noticeable among the advanced species surrounding them. But there was something different about the human's demeanor, a calm assurance that seemed out of place. As the discussion meandered, one council member spoke up about recent skirmishes on a remote system along the outer rim. A few dismissed it as a trivial matter, a routine squabble between fringe territories that did not warrant serious attention. The human diplomat listened, taking note of each word, eyes narrowing slightly. One alien representative, exuding an air of smugness, commented dismissively, "Just another dust-up, hardly worth the council's time." There was a ripple of agreement, and several members leaned back, prepared to move on. But before the matter could be closed, the human cleared their throat, a small but firm sound that cut through the council's quiet. "Excuse me." The human's voice was soft but unyielding, drawing attention from across the chamber. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. That remote system you mention, it's a human territory." A hush fell over the room. Council members turned to each other, unsure if they had heard correctly. One council member leaned forward, speaking with thinly veiled irritation. "Is humanity claiming ownership over that backwater?" The council chuckled, a dry and somewhat condescending sound, their skepticism clear. Yet the human diplomat remained composed, eyes fixed, unblinking. "It is our territory," the diplomat replied, voice unwavering. "And we have proof that it was attacked, unprovoked, by forces operating under the council's jurisdiction." The room grew tense. Representatives exchanged glances, a ripple of discomfort moving through the assembly. The council's bureaucracy was notorious, but rarely did anyone challenge it directly, and even rarer was a newly admitted member like humanity making such claims. "You're suggesting we failed to protect your people?" Another representative challenged, their voice tinged with incredulity. The human met their gaze without flinching. "I am suggesting exactly that," came the reply. "Your protocols and oversight failed. And now, human lives are at risk because of it." A murmur rose, and several council members appeared uneasy. To them, humanity was an upstart species, relatively young and untested. But the conviction in the human diplomat's words, the sharp edge in their tone, it was enough to make even the most skeptical representatives pause. Another representative raised a tentacle, irritation clear in their voice. "You accuse the council of negligence, human. What are you proposing we do about it?" There was a moment of silence as the human diplomat looked around the room, assessing each representative in turn. Then they spoke, voice quiet but loaded with a steely determination. "Humanity does not take attacks on its home lightly. We ask for immediate council intervention to rectify this oversight. But understand this, if you choose to ignore our plea, humanity will not stand idly by. We will act to protect what is ours." The words lingered in the air, heavy and unyielding. The council members shifted, caught off guard by the diplomat's unexpected resolve. A few leaned forward, intrigued, while others looked visibly annoyed, seeing this as nothing more than a human overreach. But none could deny the growing tension, the weight of what was left unspoken. The human diplomat's final words were low, measured, yet carried an undeniable warning. "Remember, you may consider us newcomers, but we have learned much in our time here. We are not to be underestimated, and we do not forget an attack on our own. This council would do well to remember that." The room remained tense, the council members murmuring among themselves, some still dismissive but others clearly unsettled by the human diplomat's tone. Without raising their voice, the diplomat continued, eyes unblinking as they addressed the assembly. "Humanity joined this council on the premise of shared responsibility and mutual protection. We entered this alliance with the understanding that each member would honor these values." Their gaze swept across the faces in the room, pausing briefly on a few of the more skeptical council members. But when an unprovoked assault on our system occurs, met with indifference and silence, it calls into question the purpose of this council. The representative from one of the more powerful systems leaned forward, a hint of frustration in their voice. "And what would you have us do, human? This galaxy is vast, and not every incident merits our immediate attention." The diplomat held their gaze, the slightest trace of disappointment flickering in their expression. "Our people have bled for the promise of unity, for the chance to build something greater alongside others. When we agreed to this alliance, we did so not because we needed protection, but because we believed in the potential of cooperation, and the strength of unity." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Some remained unmoved, while others appeared to be listening more intently. The diplomat continued, their voice unwavering. "You may see us as newcomers, perhaps even naive. But do not mistake our choice to join this alliance as a sign of weakness." The diplomat paused, letting the weight of their words settle. For humanity, the concept of home is not just a place, it's a commitment, a bond we are willing to defend, even at great cost. When our home is attacked, we defend it without hesitation. A representative from a neighboring system interjected, visibly exasperated. "You speak as if this council owes you something beyond what is offered to all members. Humanity does not dictate the council's priorities." The diplomat turned to face them directly, their voice steady but edged with a quiet intensity. "We are not here to dictate. We are here to remind this council of its responsibilities. If the roles were reversed, would you not expect us to act with the same urgency for your worlds, your people?" The representative faltered, their expression turning from irritation to unease. The human's point had struck a chord. Other council members murmured, clearly beginning to question the implications of their inaction. The diplomat's gaze shifted to the council as a whole. "We came to you as allies, as partners. But if this council refuses to acknowledge the attack on our home, we will respond ourselves. Not because we wish to, but because we must." There was a finality in the diplomat's tone, a steely resolve that left no room for doubt. The council members exchanged looks, realizing that this human was not bluffing. Humanity's commitment to defending its own was clear, and the council members could no longer ignore the weight of the diplomat's words. In a voice that carried both a warning and a plea, the diplomat concluded, "Our request is simple: honor the commitment you asked of us. Stand with us, or understand that we will stand alone. And should we stand alone, know that we will not fall." The room grew colder as the human diplomat's words settled over the council members. For a moment, they seemed to hesitate, as if choosing their next words carefully. Then, after a beat, the diplomat spoke again, voice steady, tinged with a solemn pride. "Perhaps some of you still doubt our resolve. Perhaps you see us as a younger species, not hardened by the trials that you all have faced. But understand this: humanity is no stranger to conflict. Our history is shaped by battles, by overcoming threats that forced us to adapt and evolve." A few council members shifted, visibly uncomfortable. They had heard tales of humanity's violent history but dismissed them as exaggerated stories, remnants of a less civilized time. The diplomat continued, each word weighted with an unspoken challenge. "Our planet has known every kind of hardship: famine, plague, war. We fought among ourselves, not out of cruelty but because we had no choice but to grow stronger, to survive. And through that struggle, we discovered something unique, something that sets us apart: our capacity to unite under pressure, to face any threat with relentless resolve." The tension in the room was palpable. Some council members remained skeptical, but others seemed taken aback, as if seeing humanity in a new light. The diplomat allowed a brief pause, then pressed on, voice unyielding. "When humanity faces a threat, we do not run, we do not hide. We confront it. We adapt, and we overcome. We've faced our share of invaders, our share of crises. And every time, we have emerged stronger, learning from each challenge. This attack on our territory, it will be no different." An older council member, still dubious, leaned forward, their tone laced with skepticism. "Words are easy, human. But we have yet to see proof of this so-called resilience you speak of." The diplomat's gaze turned cold. Then allow me to clarify. Humanity's resilience is not merely physical, it's in our very mindset. We do not simply survive, we learn, we evolve, and we prepare. Even as we sit here, our forces stand ready. They are trained, equipped, and more than capable of defending what is ours. Underestimate us if you wish, but know that you do so at your own risk. A murmur of discomfort passed through the council. The diplomat's words had struck a nerve, forcing some members to question their assumptions. The humans' intensity, the unwavering belief in their own people, was unlike anything the council was accustomed to. The diplomat's voice softened, but the resolve remained unbroken. We have built alliances, developed technology, honed strategies that you may not yet understand. Humanity may be new to this council, but do not mistake our presence here as mere happenstance. We came because we are prepared to defend not just ourselves, but the ideals we hold dear. If that means standing alone, so be it. The silence that followed was thick, almost oppressive. The council members were left with an undeniable realization: humanity was far from defenseless, and any threat against them would be met with unyielding determination. The human diplomat's final words rang with a quiet, unshakable promise. Do not ask what we are capable of. Instead, ask yourselves if you are prepared to face the consequences of ignoring us. As the weight of the human diplomat's words lingered, a divide grew within the council. Some members shifted uncomfortably, others avoided eye contact, and a few cast steely, thoughtful glances toward one another. The silence was broken by a council member, one of the elder races, voice wavering between caution and respect. You stand here, human, asking us to choose sides in a conflict we did not start. You ask us to stake our resources and our people's safety. Yet how can we know humanity would do the same? The diplomat's expression was unchanging, but the determination in their eyes deepened. Humanity does not choose alliances lightly. We are loyal to those who stand by us, to those who recognize that peace is worth defending together. We stand by our allies, but we will not beg for protection. The council sat in tense silence, processing this direct yet simple truth. A representative who had been quiet up until now, one known for their pragmatic view of intergalactic diplomacy, leaned forward, eyebrows furrowed in thought. And if we fail to act? If the council chooses to abstain? The human diplomat met their gaze evenly, no hint of fear or hesitation in their tone. Then humanity will act alone, with or without this council's support. We do not wish for unnecessary conflict, but if we are forced, we will defend our territory and our lives with everything we have. Another representative interjected, visibly troubled. You risk isolating yourselves from the galaxy, severing ties with those who could be valuable allies. Are you willing to bear that weight? Without question, came the diplomat's response, calm and unwavering. We may be new to this alliance, but do not confuse newness with weakness. Humanity knows what it means to fight alone if needed. If we stand on the side of justice, we will face that burden. This time, the council members did not exchange dismissive glances. The human's words cut through the chamber with a gravity they hadn't expected. And as the human diplomat spoke again, it was not with arrogance or defiance, but with a clear, unshakable promise. Understand this: humanity values peace, but not at the cost of its dignity or survival. We have defended our home before, and we will do so again, even if it means standing as the last line of defense. We will not yield to threats or to indifference. A quiet realization settled over the council, a shift in perception that carried weight. Humanity had drawn a line, not out of aggression, but from an unyielding will to protect. The council members, usually so decisive, now found themselves pausing, each considering the choice before them. The human diplomat's gaze swept the room one last time, their final words calm but resolute. The decision is yours. Stand with us in shared commitment, or stand aside. But know that if you choose the latter, humanity will defend itself, and we will not fall.